So let me start with a safe harbor statement. Both the speaker and host are organizing this meetup in the individual capacity only. We are not representing our companies here. The presentation is strictly for learning purpose. Organizer, presenter do not hold any responsibility that same solution will work for your business requirement also. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Then housekeeping, there are few housekeeping activities. A recording of this meetup will be uploaded to the event page within 24 hours. So you can find a video recording as well as a presentation on the event page. Question can be submitted at any time. You can ask the question at any time. Even you can like use the chat box if you feel shy to speak. And otherwise, you can definitely, I have already enabled the presenter mode on for many people. So you can definitely like you can ask the question at any time. And finally, like we are not getting many feedback. So like you, if you can give a good feedback, like when I say like you can provide a feedback to our meetups, it will be good. So just please provide a true feedback. If it's something goes wrong, you can provide a suggestion to us where we can improve, and if everything is good, you can provide like whatever feedback you want. And organizer, I think Nitish is not available because he have some urgent personal work, so he's not available. So myself is Jitendra Bapna, and I'm like a Surat MuleSoft Meetup leader. And I will not give my introduction. I will just I will just skip this. So the Amit Singh is the speaker for today's session. He is a Salesforce MVP, and I will hand over this session. Take it from here. So I will unshare my screen, and Amit, you can take it from here. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So I've just started sharing my screen. Let me know if that is visible to you. So Jitendra, please confirm once if you all can see my screen. I think
Yes, we can see.
okay. Yeah, thanks. Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on your time zone. And thank you for taking time out on Saturday and just to listen me over here. I'll just give a very brief introduction about me. Like I have got total overall 7+ years of experience in Salesforce, and from last 2 years I'm working in MuleSoft as a developer. And as Jitendra mentioned, like I'm a Salesforce MVP. This is my third year being a Salesforce MVP, means MuleSoft mentor, and I'm also leading a MuleSoft group, which is for Faridabad, India chapter. And there are some resources that I used to put related to Salesforce and MuleSoft for my YouTube channel. That's SFDC Panther. You can say that's my online nickname. And there is also a group that I'm leading in Salesforce, which is Kanpur Salesforce Developer Group. Now, without making further delay, this is what we are going to learn today here. We'll talk about what actually MuleSoft Composer is, what are its benefit, what are the different use cases, and that MuleSoft Composer can be used wherever we are actually working with. And we'll also see a very, I'll say that good live use case. We are also going to implement that. And then in between, if you have any questions, or at the end of the sessions, if you have any questions, please feel free to put down. And then we have that Q&A session. I'll say quiz session basically. That is at the end, and you will get a chance to get the training from MuleSoft, or you will also get a chance like participate in certification. So if we talk about MuleSoft Composer, so basically MuleSoft Composer, as title says, that it is a no-code integration tool platform which is provided by Salesforce. So Salesforce team has developed a complete application which is completely developed on top of Salesforce. So what we have to do is we have to get MuleSoft Composer license, and we have to install that inside our Salesforce environment, and then we can integrate with multiple systems without writing a single line of code. So it is like as you all, if you like, I assume that all of you are already aware about with the MuleSoft Canvas, or some of them are aware about Salesforce Flow. Okay, so MuleSoft Composer is similar to MuleSoft Canvas and Salesforce Flow, where what we do is we just drag and drop the components, we attach them, like we drag and drop the component in a logical manner, so that we see that is how our flow is going to work on. For example, a record is coming from external system, then we are checking few things, like if there is a field on a particular there is a value on a particular field mentioned in the request body. If there is a value, then go ahead and send it to some different system or store it somewhere inside Salesforce itself. So that kind of thing we need to arrange in a logical way. That is how we actually develop the MuleSoft Composer flow. And this is similar to MuleSoft Canvas, so you don't need to basically worry more about that. And as we said, this is not a coding platform, so it is just a no code integration tool. So what we have to do is there are a few points like MuleSoft Composer can only be accessed within Salesforce org. So if you are a Salesforce partner or if you are a MuleSoft partner, you can access MuleSoft Composer and you can directly start building MuleSoft Composer. You don't need to install MuleSoft Composer in all the Salesforce org that you have. Just install the MuleSoft Composer in your central Salesforce environment, and from there you can integrate with any of the Salesforce environment available out there, or you can also integrate with the multiple systems. There are 17 plus connectors so far that are available in MuleSoft Composer. There might be a few more connectors which comes in near future, but there is nothing as such commitment which is provided by Salesforce that comes under a safe harbor statement. So we say that there is no code requirement. It is similar to, as I say, that Salesforce Flow and MuleSoft Canvas. And these are the some systems that we can integrate like Google Sheet, NetSuite, Twilio, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Jira, and there are many more connectors, like up to 17 connectors that are available there. So these are the some of the connectors that are available over here. You can see here like Salesforce, Google Sheets, Tableau, Slacks, Asana. Then we've got Zero, Zendesk, ServiceNow, Microsoft Teams, Box, QuickBooks, Zora. So most of the systems are already there, but definitely there are many systems which are missing that might be coming in near future, and that is why Salesforce MuleSoft Composer team is actually looking for feedback. What else they can improve? So before we actually go ahead, there must be a question in everyone's mind is like how we can access a MuleSoft Composer. So as I said in the previous slide as well, like if you are a MuleSoft partner or you are a Salesforce partner, then you can access MuleSoft Composer. Now, if you are a MuleSoft partner, what you have to do is you have to contact your MuleSoft channel manager or solution engineer, channel solution engineer. So if you're working for a company that is already a MuleSoft partner, you wanted to try this MuleSoft Composer, uh, contact your MuleSoft channel manager or solution channel engineer. They will guide you. They will be able to guide you how you can actually access the MuleSoft Composer. They can guide you the license if they already have, or they might connect to MuleSoft team to provide you the license, or they said to provision the license in your org or in the company org. If you are a Salesforce partner, there is a very simple steps like 6 to 7 steps that you need to do. If you are a Salesforce partner, if you have access to Salesforce partner, because if your company is a partner, that doesn't mean you have the access to Salesforce partners. Okay. So if you can access, what you have to do is you have to log into this URL, which is partners.salesforce.com. Then there will be a support tab. You will be going to the support tab. And from the support tab, you have to create a new case. The topic you need to select license request. Then you have to say, click a create case. There will be a button called create case. After that, you have to provide a subject, which is MuleSoft Composer license request. This is your subject that you have to provide, or you can just something, but you have to make sure in the subject you are putting MuleSoft Composer license. You say request or you say provision. That wording you can have that is different, but this is going to play a very important role. Then description, you have to just put like you have to ask to Salesforce team like I wanted to provision like get provision MuleSoft Composer license. And then this is my Salesforce org ID. I'll show you basically how to get the Salesforce org ID and how actually you can just go ahead and install that. I'm not going to log into partner portal. I'm not going to show that kind of things. But these two things I'm going to show you like how you actually can get the ID and how you install that. So let's quickly log into Salesforce org first. So here, this is my Salesforce org where I'm all like I already have enabled that MuleSoft Composer. So while you are raising a case, you need to log into your Salesforce org for which org you actually wanted to get that MuleSoft Composer installed, the license which you wanted to. And for that, you will be needing the org ID. So for that, what you have to do is, like once you log into your Salesforce org, this is how it is going to look like. If you log in somewhere else where you see sales, service, and you see some tabs on the top like account, opportunity, or leads, then what you have to do is you have to click on this gear icon and then select setup. And once you do that, it is going to open a new window, a new tab basically. And then this is again, you see the same thing out there. What I was talking in the previous here is if I go there, if I open this application called sales, sometimes you might end up to enter like this environment. Okay, you might see this kind of things. Then you have to click here and then select setup, and then you will be navigated over here. Here, what you have to do is to find the org ID, you just need to search for company, and under company settings, there is something called company information. So you just need to select that, and once you select that, this is your org ID, salesforce.com org ID. So this is what you have to give to your Salesforce support session and say that, okay, this is my org ID and this is where I want that MuleSoft Composer to be enabled. One thing that you also need to do is after giving this org ID, just go ahead and click on your name and then click on the settings. And after that settings, you will be getting something called grant login access. So just select that option. And then the top one, which is salesforce.com support, you need to enable access for at least 1 week. So once you enable this access, like enable and go ahead and save this, Salesforce support can actually access your org. They can log in your inside your Salesforce org with the help of that org ID. So then though you don't need to provide any username or anything. You just need to provide the org ID, provide the access from here, and then Salesforce support will log in and they will provision the license to you inside your Salesforce org. Once the license is provisioned, what next step you have to do is you will basically get an email like we have provisioned the MuleSoft Composer license. Then again, get back to the quick search box to the setup page, search for Composer. You will search for Composer under process automation. You will find MuleSoft Composer. So if that is enabled, you will see this. If it is not enabled, you will not see. So again, I'm repeating, if you are having a Salesforce normal developer production or sandbox org, if MuleSoft Composer license is not enabled, you will not see. Because most of the time I've seen people just come and then ask, you are seeing the option, but I don't see the option. So the reason I'm seeing the option because I have already enabled this. I have asked Salesforce team to enable Composer for my Salesforce org. So this is what we have got. Okay, MuleSoft Composer. You can see here, I'm seeing that this step is completed. This is also completed. This is also completed. And it says that, okay, assign users. So basically, I have assigned the MuleSoft Composer license to 2 users. I can assign up to 4 users. And this is optional, okay? So first step will be like this. Install the manage package for MuleSoft Composer. So there will be an install button over here on the right. You just need to click on that button. Once you click, it will take up to 5 minutes to install that package. Once that is installed, this is again, there will be some action items that you have to take. You don't need to go anywhere from this screen, okay? Then MuleSoft service connected, again, there will be something related to connected application. So you just need to click, it will navigate to you connected application. So I'll show you. There is a connected application where we had to make some changes. Basically, they will be telling you each and every step. Okay, you don't need to worry about that. From where I can get every single thing, I'll be able to get that. So here in connected application, I will be having a composer. This one, MuleSoft Composer, right? This is the connected and coming from manage package. Okay, so basically they will be redirecting you to this particular application where we might need to provide some steps like this IP relaxations. We need to change this to relax IP restrictions. Then we need to change this admin approved user or pre-authorized. So basically we have to edit the policies. And earlier it was like enforce IP restrictions. We have to make sure that we are relaxing. Then earlier it was like all users. We have to make like this. That is these two changes we need to make. as a part of step 3, which is here MuleSoft Service Connected. Then there will be something called assign user to MuleSoft Composer. You just need to click on assign user. It will take you to the permission set page. Then we need to find out the permission set, which is basically for MuleSoft Composer. Sorry, this is not the one. So this is the Composer user. This is a permission set. Okay, we need to just open this. Now, after that, we have to click on manage assignments. And here, these are the two users which I have assigned, right? I can just go ahead and click on add assignments. And then say that I have one more user over here. I don't see any user. Let's say that I'm assigning to some other user who is there. I can just go ahead and assign this. Basically, that user was inactive. That's why we got the error. But these are the two users which I already have assigned. And once this is assigned, you need to get back to the composer again. So just go to the composer. And once you will be there, after performing all these 3 steps, you will be coming over here. Say that there are these 1, 2. This is basically checking. And then the 5th step is launch MuleSoft Composer. So just click on launch MuleSoft Composer. It is going to take you to the MuleSoft Composer application. Right? So this is the place where we are going to work with creating our MuleSoft Composer flows. Okay. So this was about like how you can actually access and set up the MuleSoft Composer. The only thing which I haven't covered is like how we can log a case and how actually install, because that was already installed. So what are the different use cases where we might need to use MuleSoft Composer? So before reading out these mentioned use cases, which I have already there in the slides, like MuleSoft Composer is mainly for integrating 2 or more systems, right? So whenever there is an integration, it might be a real-time integrations, it might be a batch integration, right? So we wanted to transfer data from one system to another system. In that case, we will be using MuleSoft Composer. So now earlier days, what happens like in Salesforce, even if we are in Salesforce or we are working on different kind of programming languages, what usually we do as a developer, we usually try to develop the code. Okay, we consume the API endpoints, we develop those, and then we just publish, deploy it to the live environment, and the integration is working fine. What if there is any additional changes that we want to? Suppose that we wanted to remove one field, or we wanted to remove add additional 10 additional fields. In that case, we have to again go through the complete cycle, like develop the code, do the multiple round of testing, deploy, do the QA, integration testing, system testing, and then went to the higher environment, which is the live environment. If that code fails in the production environment, there are possibility to lose a huge amount of time, as well as business will lose huge amount of money. And to basically overcome these kind of steps, not actually to mitigate the complete errors, but to overcome, to minimize the errors, Salesforce has came up with a solution called Composer, where you can just do drag and drop. And in near future, even if you want to add or remove or add any object or delete any object, this is very easy to manage, easy to maintain. If there is anything broken, easy to find out where the exactly error is. In case of code, it is really hard to figure out where the error is, which particular line or which particular portion of the code is actually causing the error. So that is where MuleSoft Composer comes, and that is how it actually gives us the benefit without writing the code integrating 2 systems. So these are the few of the use case that we have seen here. Like we are working for a company called XYZ Incorporation. It can be any company. Then sales team is basically working over Google Sheets. They don't have access to Salesforce, right? So sales team is like they are calling to the customers. They are saying, okay, this is our product, this is our service. Would you like to take it? If the customer says, okay, yes, go ahead, then they actually enter the information in the Google Sheet. Now, once the Google, some part of the team is also working with Salesforce, some part of team is also working in Slack channels, because Slack is basically a very important tool for communication for the companies these days. So what happens like when the sales team basically wins any prospect, they find a lead, they enter into the Google Sheet, that is a shared sheet drive in the shared Google email. And then what happens whenever the new entry is created in the seat, like new lead or prospect is entered in the seat, we need to create a new lead inside Salesforce if the lead is already not there, like based on first name, last name, and email. If the lead is not there, we need to create a lead inside Salesforce. And then we also need to post a message in a Slack channel saying that, okay, there is a new lead. This is the person, this is the name, this is the email, the company title, and this is the phone. So that from the Slack team, all the salespeople which are there inside the Slack can get, okay, this is a new lead, and they start working on that, and they can either win that lead or they can lose that lead. Okay, that is the one use case that you can see over here. The second use case is like you're working for a company who is managing the orders, right? Who's managing the orders or leads inside Salesforce, but they don't actually process the orders. So what here it is like you have developed a community, you have developed an experience on top of Salesforce. Customer goes there, they went, they figure out what product they wanted to order, they did order, the order is created inside Salesforce. This is what Salesforce is doing. They just ask the customer to place the order. Now the order processing, like there are multiple steps. They send it to the warehouse team, they send it to the shipping team, they send it to some fulfillment team, or then it went to some sort of say that inventory into inventory team. Either the inventory is there or not. So that all kind of things is basically doing from the SAP system. So now what we have to do, like what you have to do is, whenever the order is created in Salesforce, you need to send that order back to SAP system. And once SAP is basically SAP has shipped the invoice, like product, or SAP has generated the invoice, that should be synced back to Salesforce under the same order. So if you're going as a developer, if you're going ahead and writing the code, there is an ample number of things that you need to take care. You need to make sure that everything is working fine. Now here what we have to do is, with the help of MuleSoft Composer, we will listen in the SAP system. Okay, if there is, sorry, in Salesforce system, we'll see, okay, if there is any order created, send it to SAP. There will be another system which will listen for SAP. If there is any invoice generated, or if there is any shipment generated, keep listening that. As soon as that is generated, listen that record, do the checks, like under which order that SAP is there, query the order, and then basically sync or create that invoice or shipment inside Salesforce order. That is the one use case. We will see how easily we can implement. Then there is again, like if there is something, say that when a case is created or updated inside Salesforce. Okay. Now, case is something like your queries, the customer queries or their issues. Sometimes we also call the customer care or we email them, okay, hey, this is what the issue we are getting, right? So those are created inside Salesforce. So your team or your company might be managing cases inside Salesforce. Along with that, they are also using Zero, or they are also using, say that, Slack channel for, say that, communication, right? So whenever a case is created, mostly whenever a case is escalated to the higher team, you want to post a message into the Slack channel, direct message to a manager who is actually going to take care of these escalated cases. That is again we can do from MuleSoft Composer. And if you are working, if you have a project management tool inside Salesforce, now then this ticket comes, you want it to sync with the Jira. If there is any comment comes, you wanted to sync with the Jira as a comment. So this is all you can do with the composer. Like there are more use cases, there might be more use cases that you will hear and you wanted to uh, we say that achieve with the help of MuleSoft Composer. You can definitely do that. So this is all about the use cases, and I'll just take a pause of 2 minutes. Jitendra, if we have seen any kind of
Yeah,
questions so
we
far.
we have few questions. So there is one question from Sasan. Do we need to pay extra for this license, or it's depend on our subscription?
So basically, if you are already a Salesforce partner, you can get the access. There is nothing to pay. You don't need to pay, but you must need to have the Salesforce partner.
Yeah. And then there's a question. Next question for Manu. Integration only with two or more systems?
Yeah, that is what integration is about, right?
No, I just
Like
got confused that at minimum two system you have to interact with the Salesforce or just one integration with one system is
you can
what that's
also
what
you can
that's
also
what
integrate with one. I also there are multiple flows which I have
that's fine.
handy in my org. Like you can integrate either like with one system, but there should be one system that then only we will integrate, right? There should be one
Absolutely,
target then
absolutely.
source.
Thanks.
So that is how it will work.
Okay. There's one question. If we can delete the object from MuleSoft, it's not a good practice, right? Object from MuleSoft means
I think Sasank might be referring to object from composer flow that we are using. So, Sasank, when these kind of things comes, right? When things comes like you have to delete a field or you have to delete an object, there is a complete team which is going to do the impact analysis. They will see, okay, either we are using this field, what is going to be impact if you are deleting this field, what will be the impact if you are deleting this object. So there will be a complete team that will be doing an impact analysis, and sometimes you also need to do the impact analysis. So that is something that your team will be doing or you will be doing. So we cannot say that it is not a good practice or it is not a best practice, because whenever we are working in a company, there are certain use cases that a company is working according to themselves, and we had to develop whatever we are working according to themselves.
okay. There's a what if I am not a Salesforce subscriber?
That doesn't matter if you are like that doesn't it's not necessary if you are a Salesforce subscriber or not. Like you can be Jira subscriber, you can be Twilio, you can be QuickBooks, or say that just Slack or MuleSoft. Any subscriber can be there. I'll show you what could be the triggering points, what could be the output, what how you are going to process the data. Every single thing I'll show you basically.
But I think Sasank, you are asking from like license perspective, right? If I am not a Salesforce subscriber, right? For license perspective, correct? So I think he's asking from license. See, he might be asking like if he doesn't have like Salesforce instance, basically, like So like in that case, he cannot access Composer, right? He will not have access to Composer,
Yeah,
correct?
if you are not MuleSoft or Salesforce partner, you cannot access that composer. This is limited tool, and this is only available to MuleSoft and Salesforce partners so far. In future, might come, it might not come. I cannot commit, but currently the situation is the only Salesforce partners and MuleSoft partner can access.
So if you're not using it altogether, I mean, Salesforce, if you're not using, then there is no point, right?
If you are not using Salesforce, then definitely like again
Yeah.
there are benefits. Like if you are if you have like if you're not using, you can just get a developer org. If
Right,
you are a
right.
partner, you are a
Sasank,
MuleSoft partner, you can definitely get a developer org, right? And then once you have a developer org, you install that composer there, and then you don't need to use Salesforce. You have different connectors. If you have a use case, you can use there. Like developer
Right.
org is something which is free, and you don't need to pay for it.
Sasank,
This
you are
is
already presenter. Sasank, you are already presenter. You can unmute yourself. I cannot. I am not able to mute you. Basically, you can unmute yourself.
and Amit, one more thing, Shiva here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, I mean, the very first time I saw MuleSoft Composer, so I just the resemblance to OBM messages, right? It's very similar to on that platform, if I remember it correctly. And this OBM has been with Salesforce for like 15 years. It is a very old technology for Salesforce. Is it at the core? I mean, I'm not sure the core of the this composer how where it was built on, but I think it was. It looks at least like that. At the core, it is OPM messages, which is event driven, right? If something is getting created or updated or deleted or inserted, whatever, right? And
Yeah, that
that is. Am I right in this on the track?
Yeah, I think even I haven't also got a chance to what exactly the core is there, but yeah, the logic or we say that how it is working, that is completely on event driven. It is just keeping listening, like there is a subscriber and there is a listener, and they're just
Right.
like listening and then sending the data. So that is like we can say it is basically event driven architecture, or we can also say it's publish subscribe architecture.
Okay.
So let's take other question. Under the hood, does MuleSoft compose a three-layer architecture? It's not made for three-layer architecture, basically, right? Like, or
Three
it's
D
three.
architecture from MuleSoft. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think Aditya, I cannot say like I do have answer for this, but I'll definitely reach out to the team, to the composer team, and see if what they actually say, and we can definitely you can definitely reach out to me to the various channels, and I'll answer this question to you.
So Amit, I
But
think it's not like from Composer we cannot expose any REST API or something like that. It is mostly a data transfer, right? Or
Yeah,
moving
we
data
cannot
from one
expose.
system. Yeah. So I don't think like Aditya three-layer architecture will be possible here. Like where in three-layer architecture we talks about like REST APIs and all those things. Yeah, like but here mostly it's I think moving data from one system to other system. Data synchronizations and all those kind of things where you can use this Composer. Yeah, I might not be 100% correct, so Amit will get the answer for it. So yeah.
Yeah, I will get that.
Yeah, I'm with Gazan on
Hey,
this side.
Hey, Gajan.
Yeah, so just to confirm, like for the Mules of Composer stuff, like it's just an integration between Salesforce and other system. That is 17 plus connectors we have. That is the integrations between Salesforce and between the 17s, right? If Salesforce is not there, we can't use the Composer, is it?
No, that's not true. Like MuleSoft must be sitting inside Salesforce if it is a MuleSoft composer for Salesforce. I'm not quite sure. I have heard there somewhere like there is a MuleSoft composer for MuleSoft as well, but I'm not quite sure if it is there. But if it is MuleSoft composer for Salesforce, it has to be inside Salesforce. But integration has not to involvement of Salesforce. Like if you have installed, you can do. You might be doing the integration between SAP and Oracle. Say that SAP and Slack. Like if there is any order, you are just posting it to the Slack, or you might be doing integration or syncing between, say that Zira and your other system. It might be Slack or it might be say that Microsoft Teams. Like there is not such mandatory things where Salesforce must be there in your complete flow.
Okay, okay, makes sense. Yeah, thank
hey
you.
Amit, Harsh here.
Hey, how's
I have one question. So we can design event-driven architecture in MuleSoft as well, or the PubSub models, or we can create those APIs. So can we say the major difference between MuleSoft Composer and the MuleSoft APIs is that it's a no code model. You can just pick up and create the integration.
you can say like that, but I will not say that's the only difference. Like I'll say, to be honest, like I've never come like differentiated between MuleSoft and the Composer, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it is mainly like just a data synchronization tool, and in MuleSoft there are many more things. Like you can just
Right.
like you can use as a data integration tool, or you can also expose the APIs, or you can like, consume the APIs. You can do the
Mm-hmm.
custom development. So that kind of things, or say that more flexibility is there. And when there is more flexibility, then you have more options to
Right.
debug or get what all kind of things are there.
So
So
at what point we can say that MuleSoft Composer has an upper hand, or should be a preferred way to use instead of MuleSoft APIs?
what my findings are like so far is if you have like low budget, then you can go with the MuleSoft Composer. Like we see MuleSoft have a licensing, and the license cost is, I believe, is too high. I'm not just making any statement, right? This is just offline. So MuleSoft license is too high, but when it comes to MuleSoft Composer, if you are a Salesforce partner, you definitely have
Mm-hmm.
the access. And if your integration is between the available connectors that you have, and you don't need the fancy or complex we say
Mm-hmm.
that complex logic out there, you have to put some complex functions, say that complex logic, if else or while or do while, that kind of things if it is not there, if it is simple, and you are able to achieve with the help of Composer, you can definitely use that. But it is always like when you are doing the, like say that you are analyzing the tools, you must need be, I mean, you must be having some sort of pros and cons for every tool, and then you will be deciding for
Right.
that. So
Agree.
will not say like there is if this is the case, you will go with the Composer, because every company will have different analysis, and they will have different requirement, and based on that they might go.
And Amit,
Right.
like I think say, Composer only connect the SaaS-based application, right? It will not going to connect the application which is located on premise. Like my database might be on premise, so it will not able to connect, right? So
Yeah,
we
that will
don't
not
No,
come.
no, then you will have to expose it. I mean, it's not only SaaS application, but I guess if you expose it via.
no. Exposing is fine. Like then I'm publishing my database publicly, so I don't want to do that. Like just I'm saying like it will mostly like connecting the application which is accessible publicly, basically, right? In simple terms, basically.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
like
True.
might be in future they came up with some sort of functionality there. They give the ability to connect to the local system, but that might be in future. But
Maybe
currently
MuleSoft
this is
Composer, maybe MuleSoft Composer can come with this capability, right, Amit?
Yeah, might be.
Any
But
other
But
I
like,
guess the
questions?
whole point is that it is the simplified version. It just you don't have to do much. Just a setup. Drag and
yeah,
drop or doing a mapping of the fields. And that is it, and then it totally works. It's native to Salesforce, so it works all good. I guess that is the whole point of Compose.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
I think rest of the questions we can take at the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, Amit, you
so
can go.
yeah, so basically there are three key elements of any composer. Like what is the triggering source? Basically, what is your source, and then what is your target? This will be the two things, and in between you will be doing the processing. It might be querying some records in Salesforce. It might be querying some records in some other system, or processing with the help of some FLs or while or the for loops. So these are the three key elements where you are going to trigger. Like this is what I'm saying is whenever new like whenever there is any case comment inside Salesforce, which is either new or updated. This is what I'm doing on the trigger source. So whenever a case comment will be created or updated, my flow is going to be executed. And then at the part of process, what I will do is I'm going to get the record inside Salesforce itself. I will find out what is the case, which case I wanted to found. There is some sort of condition I will provide. This is what I'm doing as a part of process. And then in the target, what actually I'm doing is I'm creating a comment. Basically, I'm putting a comment inside Zira. You see here there is a system called Zira. I'm just putting a comment inside a Zira ticket, which was created inside Zira, and then putting a comment, whatever the comment was made. It might be like, we are good to go for QA, or it might be there is some issues, or how you are going to test. That kind of things will be there in the uh, Jira ticket. This is just a simple example that I have taken to explain you like these three key elements of our MuleSoft Composer. Then this is what use case we are actually going to implement. And if people will like, I will also try to show some other use case. But first, let's quickly see what use case is. This is the same use case which we have discussed at the very first. So like we are working for a company XYZ. Then there is a sales team which is working over Google Sheets. They don't have access to Salesforce that we already discussed. Now, whenever a lead or prospect is created inside Google, what we have to do is we have to create a new lead inside Salesforce. If that doesn't exist, then we need to post as message inside Slack. So basically, I tried to cover most of the things over here, how we are going to do the triggering thing, how we are going to set up the connection for multiple systems, including Salesforce and Slack. So this is how we are going to create. These are the main steps. We'll say 6 steps that we have. We have to create a connection. The connection, like whatever the connection we want, might be SAP, Salesforce, Google Drive, Azure, like Zora or Bitbucket, not Bitbucket, Zero, or anything, right? What will be the triggering point? That means from the source system, what will be the triggering point? Whenever a record is created or updated or a comment is made or order is created, that kind of triggering point, okay? Then we need to define the actions that we wanted to take. Actions means we might wanted to check if the record is there inside Salesforce or not. We wanted to create or update a record, or we wanted to create update related records. Then we have to test the flow. So before we actually activate, we must need to test the flow. And after that, we will activate and monitor the behavior of our flow. So once we activate, we can also monitor if there is any error. We can also see what kind of error is there. In order to achieve our use case that we have, this is a very small flow that I have developed. Is like we're just starting developing the composer flow. Then we will see, okay, new record, or we'll say that new entry is created inside the sheet, the Google Sheet that we have mentioned. Then we will check if the record exists inside Salesforce or not. If yes, we're not going to do anything. Our flow will end. If the record doesn't exist, we will create a lead inside Salesforce. Then we will create a message to Slack channel as well, like there is a new lead. So we are going to set up this Slack. We are going to set up the Salesforce, as well as we are going to set up this Google Sheet as well. So let's quickly see a live demo for this. And then if time permits, we'll talk about other use cases as well. So basically, this is our MuleSoft flow that we have got. First thing, what we need is we need to figure out what all components, or we say that what all systems are involved over here. So we have basically got 3 systems. Like one is Salesforce, where we actually need to store the leads. One is Google Sheets, from where we actually getting the leads, and then Slack, where we will be posting the information about the leads. So first thing, what we will do is, whenever you are here under homepage, just go ahead and click on this, say that create new flow, and it is going to take you to the new flow. Okay, over here, as this is developed on top of Salesforce Lightning components, there might be some delay over here, and there is also some internet issue from my side, so might be slow, but we will see how exactly it works. So you see here on the top, it says that untitled flow. What I can do is I'll say that, okay, G suite to Salesforce lead to Slack channel. Okay. Basically, this is my name, the flow of my name. I'm thinking from Google Suite to Salesforce lead to Slack channel. I just click on done. Now, if you see here, when this flow should start, like either it is a system event, what could be Salesforce or Google Sheet, what it is. So basically, it is a Google Sheet, right? So we'll select Google Sheet. I already have one sheet which says that enter your Google Sheet, which is connected. Okay, I'll just go ahead and click on new connection. So here it will say, okay, I'll say that Salesforce G Suite connection. You just need to give it a name of your connection for Google Sheet and just click on create. So as soon as you create here, it is going to ask a pop-up like which account you wanted to connect. So I wanted to connect with this account, which is my personal account. I'll just go ahead. It will ask some information. I'll select okay, go ahead and grant this information and continue it. So once we do this, continue. Okay, we have got this connection. The connection is there. You see, Salesforce connection was connected, created, and here on the top, you might have seen that it was testing the connection. Then what event I want to follow. So I have to select whenever a new row is created, or I can say new separate spreadsheet or updated row. Okay, I'll say whenever a new row is created. Now what is a seat? Which seat I wanted to. So I have one seat. Okay, which say that okay, it is not having a seat. I have to create basically a seat. So I'll just go ahead. Just open this Google Drive. Okay. I'll create one seat under my drive. So I'll say create Google Sheet. This is the name of my seat. And here I'm going to create few headers to say that first name of our lead, and then we'll say what is the last name, what is email, phone, title, and we say industry, company. Okay. So these are the some headers which I have created. The name is seat one. I can say okay, SF leads. This is the seat name. Okay, there can be multiple seats which you have. Let's say that I'm saying SF cases. Right, these are the two seats, and we are going to work out of this SF leads. What you have to do is once you have created, you just need to click on this refresh icon, and then select refresh button. So once we do refresh, we got new row, and here I can search for this is the seat you see here, MuleSoft Meetup seat, right? So we just go ahead and select that, and then we will say here worksheet name. You see there are two seats, so we are going to work off of this SF leads. Select that seat. It will say what field you want to reach out, and these fields are nothing. These are basically these first name, last name, and all these things. Okay, so just go ahead and select fields. Now what I need is this. I'll say select all fields, and then I'll just go ahead and remove this because I don't need these seats. And these are all values that I need. I'll go ahead and add this. So you see here, there are these values. There is no such sample output, but if there will be, we will just click here and we will be able to basically see all these things. Now, once the seat connection is done, what we have to do is we have to make sure if there is a lead record present inside Salesforce or not. So just go ahead and click on plus. Then you need to see which Salesforce you want to talk about, either the same Salesforce instance or you wanted to talk about some other Salesforce. Right, so we'll say select Salesforce. So I have got two connections over here. This is my different Salesforce org, and this is my same Salesforce org, which I'm working with. So to create a connection, again, you have to click on new connection, and you can say whatever it is. I'll say that MuleSoft Meetup, right? And if you are working with Sandbox, which is test environment, you can check this. This is a test sandbox. But I don't have a sandbox. I'll just select this MuleSoft Meetup and click on create. So as soon as you click create, this is going to open a pop-up. Now there is some problem. Now what problem could be there if you have some ad blocker extensions installed in your Google Chrome or in your Edge. I'm using Edge. You most of the people use Google Chrome, right? So if there is a ad blocker extension installed, this pop-up will not open. So make sure if you're working in Composer, you're getting that kind of error, then disable those ad blocker extensions, then this pop-up will come up. And then you need to basically log in which user you want it to log in. Whatever, I say back to basic, this is my user, okay? And then I click on login. So once I click on login, this is basically MFA enabled, so it will ask me to grant the access from my mobile phone. So I'll just get a pop-up and I'll just grant the access. So this is like there was slow processing. Now the access has been granted. So you see here, this is basically logged in here. Now it is asking me to grant this access. These are the access that MuleSoft Composer is going to ask for. I'll say, okay, just go ahead and allow this. Once it is allowed, we will see that connection is there, okay? So you see here, the connection is there. Now the name is MuleSoft Meetup. Now what kind of action we wanted to take over here? So we have to check for existing records. So we will select get records. Now, when we are getting the records for what table we wanted to look for, either it is account or it is a lead, opportunity, or what kind of table it is. So it is a lead. So just search for lead. I select lead. Okay. Now, is there any kind of condition that I want? You see here, there is a condition. So I'll say yes. Just put some condition in and logical. Okay. What I'll say, I wanted to filter based on first name, and I wanted to filter based on last name, then I wanted to filter based on email. So if all three matches, that means the lead is already there in the system. I'll just go ahead, put equal operator. And then from where this value comes, this will come from triggering source, which is my Google Sheets. I'll select first name, then I'll select last name, and then I have this email. So I have just checked if these or if there is a record. Like we just made a query to Salesforce, it is going to figure out if there is something, okay. If there is something, it is going to send me a list. Even if there is one record, it will always send me a list of records. Okay. Once we've got this, we need to check if there is like if this particular query has actually returned the data. Like if there is a data, it will return. If there is no, it will not return. So we'll again put add, and this time instead of selecting these events, we will select if else block. Okay, we need to check if the data is coming from the above step. So we'll say if what field we wanted to have. So this time we have one triggering source, then we have second source, okay, which says that list of lead, and we will say that is not, sorry, we'll say is empty. If this is empty, then we are going to create a record. If not, we can say add else, okay. So we'll say under this condition, make sure this is where we are in. We are not here add if. We are under condition itself. We will say if this is empty, just go ahead, select Salesforce, and this time select this connection we have MuleSoft Meetup. And then what we need is we need to create a new record. What kind of record we need to create is a lead record. We need to map the fields. So we have got this lead. We have to map the fields. What fields we need to map? It says that company because this is a required field. So for company, we will select company, which is coming from our row. Last name, which is coming from our Google Sheet. Reason, I'll select from pick list because that is a required field. So I can also add. Now what field we need is, we need first name. So we will select first name. Next, what we need is email. Then we need a title, and then phone as well. Right? These are the fields which we wanted to map. So we'll just go ahead and click on add. As soon as we click on add, we see all these fields are there. Now for email, we have to figure out email. Then for first name, select first name. For mobile, we already have a phone. Then For phone, we also have a phone, the same thing. So select phone, then title, we already have a title. What we did is we just mapped these fields. These fields are there inside Salesforce under this lead object. Now this field is mapped, right? Once this record is created, what we can do is we have to click on this plus icon, and then we need to use a Slack, because now we have to post a message to the Slack channel, right? Because we haven't set up a Slack, I'll just go ahead and click on save this. So far we are good. We have just prepared two connections. We are listening, checking if the lead is there, and then we are creating a lead record. Next thing, we need to set up a Slack system, right, where we are going to post the message. So to do that, if you don't have a Slack, just visit slack.com. Okay. You can just say that try for free, or you can say sign up with Google. Okay. So if we say sign up with Google, I got that there are two systems. I already have this account, so I'll just use this one. SFDC Panther. Okay, I'll just go ahead and confirm this. So as soon as I confirm, it will basically just take me to the login page, because I already have. Okay, it says that create a Slack workspace, and it says your team is on Slack. You cannot find something. So we'll say create workspace. Just go ahead and create a workspace. So a workspace will be created for us, right? Now here it will give us the name, what name we want. So let's say that we are saying that sales, this is our workspace, or something. I'll say that Surat MuleSoft Meetup. We'll click on next. Now it says that what is your team is working on. So I'll say that sales, say sales team. Okay, this is going to be our channel. Or just go ahead and click on next. Okay. At teammates, if you have something, I don't have anyone, I can just skip this. Okay, skip the system. It is saying me either I can open this application, which I have already opened. So I'll say that just go ahead and open this application. So there is something, a new app company. You see here, Surat MuleSoft Meetup. We've got channel. Under channels, we've got sales team, we've got general, we've got random, right? And then there is direct message which said that SFDC Panther. I can also add the teammates. I can also add the channel. Say that add channels. I can say create new channels, and I'll say that customer support, right? This is my channel, and I'll say create. Say I skip for more now. So I've got one more channel. Once this Slack is set up, what we have to do is we have to get back to our composer. Okay, just go ahead and click on this plus icon and select the Slack, and we again need to connect. So this is the one Slack channel, this is another. So we will say that MuleSoft Meetup Slack channel, and go ahead and click on create. Again, it will pop up over here, right? You see we are already logged into the Slack. So it says that okay, this is the this is the Slack workspace which we are actually um, connected with. These are all the permissions that we need. We'll say go ahead and click on allow. So once we allow this, it is going to have these permissions for us, and we've got this. This is the Slack channel which is already there. Now what we need is we need to post a message to a channel. We don't need to send a direct message. Okay, we say post a message to a channel. Now what channel we wanted to post? So just click on this drop down and select pick list, and then here you will see all your channels. We wanted to post it to the sales team. And what message we wanted to select? So we'll go ahead and click on this custom expressions. What we need is I will say I'll just okay asterisk. I'll say new lead. Okay, colon asterisk. And what we need is we need first name then last name. This is the new lead name. Then we can say that phone, or if you wanted to see in a bold, we say asterisk, and then phone, whatever the phone is there, and we say okay title. Whatever the title is there, okay, and what we will say where the title is title at the rate where the company name is. So we'll say okay, this is the is that yeah, here it is company. And then we can also say whatever the email is, because that is also very important part of any lead. So we'll say okay email, and where this email is. Okay, and if you want you can also add the industry. So you say okay, this is I'm just putting single quotes, sorry, not single quotes, asterisk, and then whatever the industry is. Okay, we've got all these. This is the custom message that we wanted to post to a channel. We can apply it. Okay, this is what we actually have got. We don't need to select bot name. We don't need to select bot icon. Okay, if you want to send a direct message, you can also do that. So to do that, you just click on plus icon and then again select Slack. You have to select where you wanted to post, and you say, okay, I wanted to send a direct message to whom. I'll select quick list from user. I got this. So DC Panther is my user. Okay, and then message. Again, I can say, okay, custom expression. System, I'll say first name, last name, and then I'll say, okay, whatever the email is, whatever the phone is, so, and then title. Uh, we've got industry, and then we have got company. So these are just a simple message I wanted to post to the individual. Okay. Now, once we did this, we have to go ahead and save this. Now, this is basically what we have done is so far we just created the complete flow. You see here, this is what your flow is. Triggering from Google Sheets, checking if the record is there. This is what like querying the record, then checking if the record is there. If not, create a record, post Slack message. Okay, Slack message to a channel and the individual. Now, if you need to test this, we need to click on this test button. Before that, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and copy this and I'll say, okay, SF cases over there. First name, I'll say Jitendra. And then I'll say, this is not the correct email, so don't copy it. Okay. So the reason I'm just having this because as soon as I basically type in one column, if the flow runs, it only takes one row, okay, one field. So we'll go ahead and click on this test. So it will just go ahead and save our complete flow. It will wait for test to start. So basically there are 10 minutes and we can test as many as records we want. So, and then the window will be only of 10 minutes. If you wanted to test it, again, you need to click on test button and get that 10-minute window. So this test, you see here, it says the testing 9.5 like 9 minutes 55 the seconds will decrease, right? Awaiting trigger event, it is awaiting, there is no output, and all this every single thing is just running a spinner. Okay, I'll just go ahead, paste the row over here. I just created one row, that means I created one row, saved it to Google Drive. It will wait for that row to trigger over here, not immediately. This is not a real-time integration. So this is just we'll say that near real-time integration. So it will just wait for this event to trigger. And you see here it is processing now. That means it got the trigger. I got the message over MuleSoft. You see here, test finished. Now this is the outcome. You can see here what outcome we want. We got, this is a company, email, first name, last name, all things we got over here, right? Then this is getting okay. List of leads. It says, okay, this particular block has been executed because this is what the blue line says. This block executed, then we got the message to the channel. This is the channel ID. This is when the message was sent. And this was also sent. Now, if you get back to Slack, there is one MuleSoft Composer, which is came from direct message. You see new lead, Jitendra Bafna. This is the email, phone number, solution engineer, technology, EPM, right? Sales team is also having one message. If I go there, you see there is a new lead called Jitendra Bafna. Phone is whatever we have got, like 16. Title is solution engineer @EPAM. Email is this and technology is this, right? So basically what we are doing is we are just sending to the sending message to a team. And from here, whatever the mass, there could be 1, 10, 100 or 1,000 people, right? Any of them can just start calling and then see, okay, this is what. Now, if you see from test, this is something which is not okay, right? Because there is no space. Now we can go there in our flow. We can just go ahead, edit, provide the space between first name and last name, and then we can do the testing again. So that is basically how we actually can test. Once this testing is done, we get back to our flow. Like for this message, we are actually, we'll say edit. This message was not correct, right? So what we will do is there wasn't a space. We'll provide a space between first name and last name. There wasn't a space between phone, right? will say phone, then space there is, then there should be a space between company, and there should be space between email. So all these kind of things that we have got, right? So we can also put industry, and this is what basically we wanted to send. And once your testing is done, what you can do is you can just go ahead and activate this. So once you activate this flow, you say it is starting the activation. So it will take some time to activate your flow. And once this is activated, let's wait for this activation of the flow. Once the activation is done, we will actually be able to see the detail page of this particular flow. Okay. So there is still some time, like time it is taking to activate. And yeah, then I think meantime we can definitely take the questions.
Yeah. The first question is like, what if I have three source triggers sending the data to one system? Do I need three different flows?
Yeah, you have to make three different flow, because at a time we can only select one. So you have to select three different, like, yeah, go ahead, Jitin.
No, no, like, you can go ahead. Like I was just reading the second question. You can complete that question. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was saying that if you have three source or five source, and that's what you wanted to trigger, then you have to create three different sources. And once your flow is active, this is how it is going to look like. If you want to make the changes after activating, you need to clone this. You cannot make the change in the direct flow. You need to clone this, or you can just go ahead and click on view, then deactivate this flow. So that is basically, you can see here the testing is happening on all these things. I can go to the flow details page. Okay, once I go to the flow details page. What I can do is I can just prepare one more row and try to hit that. And yeah, then you can just go ahead and ask the question.
Okay. The other question is, source can only trigger based on updating Google Sheet. What I need to what is I need to bulk creation.
It will always
So
be
it's
like
a
if you
chat
create a
window.
bulk, that will work. Like if I got, like if you're saying that okay, I've got this these kind of rows, and these are the three rows, right? And then I just go ahead and paste it over there. Then it will work. It is going to process that.
Okay, let me check. Is it similar to Amazon App I don't aware of Amazon Airflow.
I haven't worked with Amazon Airflow, so I cannot say that.
Amit, Gazan on the side, quick question. Where this application of flow is deployed?
This is on top of Salesforce itself. Nowhere. It's not deploying anywhere. It is inside Salesforce itself.
Okay, so if we'll have the like MuleSoft partner, so again, like what is the deployment stuff backend, how it where it will be deployed, and how we can track it. It's just a flow, and the UI part we can see that, right? And the backend it's where it is get deployed. If we
This is
don't have
Salesforce. This is actually
It
Salesforce, right? Salesforce has their own services basically, or their own cloud. They are deploying over there. We don't have any. We actually don't know where exactly Salesforce is deploying all these things, right? This
it
is
might be
this.
in it might be an experience cloud of Salesforce, right?
No, that's not the Experience Cloud. Basically, it is developed on top of Salesforce. Like this is a Lightning component which we develop as a Salesforce developer. So whatever basically we do, that is there inside Salesforce itself. They have their own flows, and like their flows, this is where you have to. Like if you are a MuleSoft partner and you are using MuleSoft Composer inside Salesforce, you have to develop over here, and this is where it will work. And this is your centralized org. This is not your sandbox or your developer org. Your MuleSoft Composer will already be sitting inside your centralized org, the main org where you will be developing the flow, and that org will be integrating multiple Salesforce environment, your sandbox or your developer or your production, or might be any other system that we have talked about.
Yeah, it's a SaaS based product basically,
Yeah,
and you don't know where it is sitting and
yeah,
on which
and you
server it
don't
is
need to
sitting.
deploy. Basically, you don't need to deploy.
So, Amit, how is it exactly related to MuleSoft? Does it utilize any MuleSoft framework in the background, or how is it that?
It doesn't utilize. It just the name itself says MuleSoft Composer. I think that is the only thing I see. And I believe
Okay.
this is basically developed by MuleSoft teams, which is MuleSoft teams. That is why they name it as MuleSoft Composer.
So
Okay.
next question, Amit, the how they are like in the Mule Composer, how they are take care of the connectivity. Like in MuleSoft, we have some sort of restriction. We have to open the firewall and this and that, right? So do we have the same concept here? We have to open the firewall like this, or it will automatically take care. How it is the
Okay,
connectivity part?
as Jitendra and Siva also mentioned in the starting, it is a SaaS-based application, right? When it is a SaaS-based application, I'm
Okay.
not quite sure like if we can basically put a firewall on the SaaS-based application. I think Jitendra or Siva can correct me. Is there any like way that we can put a firewall on
No, no,
SaaS-based
no, no,
applications?
no, no. Like it should be publicly available. Publicly available. Those application.
Yeah,
Simple,
that
like
that's what like. Now if you see it, right, I think there was a question on the batch. I pasted three rows, and you see there are three success messages, and I've got three messages over here Slack channel. Like I made the different emails, and I got these three messages. So basically, it did work. Now, even if I go ahead and make something else in my Google Sheet, there might be some error. So I'll just try to do that as well. Yep, I think we can also take different. We can take different. I'll say a question. Am I audible?
Amit,
Yeah.
yeah, like you mentioned that now if there are five records and say that it will pick one record at a time, right? So what if any record failed? will will there be any notification sent that this particular record failed because I am doing a bulk insert, right? So basically maybe at the end of the day the entire sheet I am trying to load and I want to create all those 100 records or 100 leads in the table. So how will I know among those 100 which record, say for example 55th record failed? So how will I know that 55th record failed?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to show you over here. I'm just trying to create a scenario where the flow will fail, right? So
Okay.
basically, if the flow will fail, you will see there is an error column. You see here, under that error, basically you will see something called any or some sort of TML exceptions. Then you just need to click on that. It will show you like which exactly error was failed. So if you see, right, we have pasted three rows. We got three rows over here. All three are success. So if you're pasting 100 rows, we will say 100 histories over here, right? Once we got 100
Okay.
history, whatever the record is failed, you will see the error next to that record. I have just pasted one. You see, I've got this failed, right? And it says that error, it says that any. If I click here, it says that record field missing last name and company, right? So basically, whenever there is any error, you will see the error like this. So whatever the error is, you will get under error column. You click on that, you will see what exactly the error your source system is actually giving to you.
Okay.
Amit, do we have any provision to re-trigger this message from here itself, or we have to correct the data and then we have to, it will automatically get triggered from there?
We have to rectify in this target system.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't know, right? Because there might be, say that there are 10 fields, and we don't know
Mhm.
how actually the Salesforce is going to say. If we can definitely check over here inside flow, we go there if this is a flow and say, okay, if this field is blank, I can put some random value. But we don't know, right? As a part of, we'll say that best practice, we don't even want it to put some random values if the field is blank. Or if there is something, okay, if the amount, if there is a number field, if that is null, we can definitely put zero. In that kind of scenarios, we have this FLs, right? I think we can just use this FLs. I haven't tried honestly, so I might need to try this, but yeah, I think we have to deactivate this. But we can use and try to put some blank values over there, or like, or the best practice is always, or the Salesforce, what they suggest is like we rectify the data in source, and then based on our source, that flow is going to trigger and it will do the processing.
I mean, is there an easy way of tracking? I mean, the screen which you showed where the records are created and failed, right? So, is there a way that to that column can there be an identifier which is easy to view? Otherwise, if you see there is a ID generated, so I need to click and see, okay, this record failed. or if there is an identifier or tracking ID here saying that first name or last name, that failed. So that would give me a view that okay, the this user failed. Then I will click on the error to get more description, like okay, something was mandatory and that failed. uh, First attempt, if I want to see, I want to see okay, this record number Cinda, which had first name as Cinda, that failed. Then I will click on that error to get a more description saying that email was mandatory, like that.
I don't think there is as such any kind of columns over here because this is something which is generic, right? We don't know like for all the records there will always be a first name. We don't know there will always be an email because whenever it comes to the order, there could be order number or there could be some amount or line items, that kind of things. But I think this is really good to have something over here like, okay, this some sort of identifier that we might want. But so far there is nothing as such, but I'll definitely take this as a feedback and we'll send it to the MuleSoft team.
Okay, and consider that I get a Google Sheet, right, with all the lead information. So consider from different sources I get data populated in that Google Sheet on different tabs. So
Mhm.
can it possible to read data from different tabs? Because when I saw while you created, you chose only one tab, that is SF Leads tab. Consider
Yeah, if
there
you,
are multiple tabs and I need to I suppose say like I have the address information in the another tab. So how can I read that?
yeah, in that case, you have to add this. Like as you already mentioned, right? We have used SF leads worksheets. Like say you just created a lead, and then under that you wanted to add the address as well. So you just go ahead. Okay, under this there is no lead. You just go ahead, add a connector, Google Sheets, select whatever the sheet is there. Where it went. Okay, and then you have to select again the same sheet that we have got, and then select the different lead column. So basically, if you have multiple, you have to specify what columns you want. Currently there is no such dynamic way like if you have 10 seats and it can directly loop and get all the 10 seats, and that is also not, I'll say, something which is feasible because in real time you might be having 10 seats but you only want to read the data from a single seat, so you have to specify which seat you wanted to read.
Okay. Okay,
Yep,
thanks Samit.
yep, you're welcome. So I'll just put what benefit are there, and then we can I think go with the Q&A session and then with the quiz. So basically, I think so far you all might already have seen like what the key benefits of for MuleSoft Composer are. Like we have to like design in built-in integrations. We don't need to do any code or something. We get the pre-built connectors and templates. Like we already have the connectors and we use those connectors. We don't need to do any kind of development to develop new connectors. If there is, then Salesforce team might be putting that. Preview and build with the real-time data. So basically, you might have seen whenever we were doing the connection or whenever we were working on the Google Sheets or Salesforce, we were getting what kind of sample output will be there, and based on that, we can basically build our flow. And there is a built-in monitoring and automating errors that we have already seen. If there is any error, it is going to, you can go there in the flow alerts and then you can just see what error is there. And I'm not quite sure if there is any alert mechanism for sending the email. I'll check that, and if there is any, I'll just let Jitendra know. I think in the event page we can put that. So I think this is it. What I had for this session, and thank you for listening and being such an amazing audience. And now we can just go ahead and take what all questions that we are getting. Over to you, Jitendra.
Yeah, I'm just checking if there any question.
Amit, quick question. Like any limitation so far you encountered with a composer, like any that you
So
think like
even the limitations that you have seen, like we have already talked about, one is like the error message itself doesn't clarify. Like it says that okay, there is a mandatory field missing, but we
okay,
don't know for which field, right? For which row actually it is missing. That is one. The other thing is that I think that email alert one is the one which I just talked about, sending the log alerts. We can just set up okay where we wanted to actually send the logs and all these things, and there are definitely limited number of connectors and the operations are limited. And there are two, three things which I'll say, encountered as a part of Salesforce limitations. So, for example, whenever we are we are just getting a record, okay, it is letting us that kind of fields inputs. But whenever we are sending this information to the third party system, if there is any error in the flow itself, and we can do the error handling, there might be some use cases where we wanted to process the records, even if there are some use cases and it fails. Sometimes say, okay, if this particular record fails, or say that we are not able to create a record, we still wanted to process the rest steps. We wanted to post the errors to the Slack messages or to the team saying that, okay, this error was throwing the error, this step was throwing the error, and these are all the errors. So that kind of things I found. But I think at the initial level of the product, this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And our Salesforce team is really, Salesforce and MuleSoft teams are really good to give us the new updates every 3 to 4 months. So they will definitely be coming and overcoming these all kind of limitations.
Yeah. So Amit, I'm just curious to ask, like, will this MuleSoft Composer will handle the complex mapping as well? Because if we have multiple logics to build for mapping, right, in MuleSoft, when we have a data wave, a lot of things are there. So can it is capable enough to handle all these things? Because it will be our flow will be lengthy, right? It will put if and else and this and that, right? So how we'll tackle that?
So if we'll say that if there are multiple FLs and if it is a complex, I don't think it will tackle, but there are, if there are simple things like, as in the starting we have also discussed, like if there are simple flows, you don't have complex things, then flow will or might be the good use case for you or a good tool for you. But when it comes to say that a complex mapping, I will say that is not something which will flow currently have, but they might, again, they might come in near future. Who knows what could be there.
Okay. Any
Amit, like,
form? Sorry.
yeah, go on, go on.
Yeah, and one more question. Any format conversion issue, or we can do we do we do any formatting like from JSON to XML, XML to JSON, like that CSV, right? Any conversion we can do?
There is no such thing here, right? Because you have a triggering source, you get all the fields. You are
Yeah.
not getting in the form of JSON or XML. You're just getting the field details, and you are just mapping. That's it,
So basically, it
right?
automatically generates a metadata for you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about that.
It
Perfect.
doesn't actually gives you any format. It just gives you the data. Okay, this is the data. This is the field. If you wanted to access this field, just go ahead and access this.
Yeah, because we are why I'm asking this question, like we saw the Google sheet, right? And might be we get an Excel sheet in that sense. I'm just thinking like
Yeah,
if we got some sort
Google
of.
Sheet can be of any type, like it can be XSL or XSLX or CSV. But what
Mhm.
at the end it is doing it is just parsing and giving you the, I'll say that the columns of Google Sheets, and then you can access those columns. That's it.
Mhm. Okay.
That's how it is working.
Okay. So, and one more thing, how we can identify how many application flows we can deploy in MuleSoft Composer, like any limitations, or how we
I,
can.
I think we already discussed, like we don't need to deploy anything in the MuleSoft Composer. We
Like
have
flow,
already
if
discussed. We have
and if we
already
create,
discussed this is
how many flows we can create maximum? Any limit
there
on
is
that?
no such limitations. I
Okay.
haven't read anything about limitations because
All
this
right.
is Salesforce. There will be some stories on Salesforce. Based on your stories, you can definitely have this.
Okay.
Amit, there's a
Yeah.
question. Like, can we like use any function on data? Like when we want to send data from source to target, you may have some date, right? It's some format, and you when we are sending to target, we have to change the format of that date. Is this possible with Salesforce Compose? That is the question came.
I think let me share my screen. If I have that custom expression, you see, you have seen that, right? Let's quickly find it out. If there is something in a date format, and we want it to, I don't think there is a function, but there might be, because who knows. Let's go ahead and edit this. That kind of thing I haven't encountered. But say if you're mapping lead here, we map here. Let's say there is a date. Let's say convert a date. I don't think we have such functions so far. We don't have.
Yeah, it's just one-to-one data mapping, right?
Yeah. Or it might be like if we put some date over here, it might be converting it to the source format while doing the integration. I haven't tried it. Might be there is something which is doing behind the scene converting the format,
Yeah,
because all the things are happening behind the scene.
yeah. In simple one, there are no functions available right now.
Yeah, right now there are no functions.
Not
And
currently, I guess. This is a minimal viable product, which is working fine, I guess, and it's just straightforward mapping one on one. That's all.
Yeah, it
yeah, yeah.
depends. Like maybe in future that can be
Yes,
extended,
correct,
but you never knows.
correct, correct, correct.
Yeah, I think we have covered all the questions. So I think Amit, we can start with quiz part also. You can like start the quiz also.
Yep, sure, sure. I think that's the best part. Okay, let me know once you see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the basically what we are doing is we are doing a Kahoot quiz. You need to visit kahoot.it and enter the game pin and put your real name. Don't put the game pin or something. That is your we say that nickname. Just put the real name so that we can identify who you are. I'm just putting that game pin in the chat window as well. Um, yep, here it is. I think the complete URL is there. And after a quiz, might people might start leaving. So in the meantime itself, I'll again request, please share your feedback, because that is really very very important for me, for Jitendra, and Jitendra team. Because if we get the response, we get the feedback from you, we can improve ourselves. If you want to speak, please feel free to Jitendra, and we will definitely would like to host you. And if you are new, you this is your first time, don't hesitate. We are definitely going to help you to prepare the deck and to prepare your slides and those kind of things.
So let me give a few instruction. Like if anybody have won the token in last 1 month, so like I will recommend it. No, like you can play the queues, but you will be not eligible for the voucher. Okay, so that's the one thing. Second thing, like if anybody is new to MuleSoft, so please like enroll for only MCD or those kind of basic. Don't enter for MCI or MCPA training basically. So guys, I will also stop the recording.